You are not failing because you are not smart enough. You are failing because of your intelligence. That sentence will offend part of you. Good. That part is exactly what this video is about. Because the most dangerous prison ever built is not made of walls. It is made of explanations. And no one builds more elaborate explanations than a brilliant mind that has decided somewhere deep below consciousness that it is safer not to try. History is full of them. People of extraordinary intelligence who lived small, bitter, incomplete lives. Not because the world defeated them, because they defeated themselves, methodically, brilliantly, with devastating precision. Carl Jung spent 40 years studying this pattern. He called it one of the great tragedies of the human psyche. Not the tragedy of the weak, but the tragedy of the gifted who never became who they were meant to be. Jung wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely, not to accept failure, not to accept limitation, to accept yourself, fully, without condition, without the performance. That for the intelligent person is the hardest thing in the world, and the reason why will disturb you. Here is what happens inside a sharp mind under threat. It does not panic, it does not freeze, it thinks, it constructs, it analyzes, it produces within seconds a perfectly rational argument. For why now is not the right time, why this particular opportunity is not quite right, why the risk is too high, the conditions not ideal, the timing slightly off. The average person procrastinates with excuses, the intelligent person procrastinates with logic, and logic is far more convincing. Epictetus, who understood the mechanics of the mind better than almost any philosopher who ever lived, wrote, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." Read that again. The intelligent person walks into life already knowing how things work, already knowing how people behave, already knowing how this will end. And because they already know, they never truly begin. They observe, they analyze, they wait for certainty that never comes. While ordinary people, confused, imperfect, unafraid of looking foolish, simply move. Jung had a name for the part of yourself you refuse to see. He called it the shadow. Not evil, not malicious, simply everything you have decided you are not. The parts of yourself that don't fit the image of the intelligent, capable, composed person you have built. Your neediness, your fear, your longing to be seen, your terror of being truly known. The intelligent person is particularly skilled at burying the shadow because they can explain it away, intellectualize it, reframe it, make it disappear beneath layers of analysis. But the shadow does not disappear. Jung wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. You will call it fate. You will call it bad luck, wrong timing, difficult circumstances. You will construct an entire narrative, intelligent, coherent, internally consistent, about why your life looks the way it does. And the narrative will be wrong, not because you are dishonest, because the shadow is the one telling the story, and the shadow never tells the full truth." The Stoics and Jung between them identified three primary patterns, three ways that intelligence without wisdom becomes the architect of a life half-lived. The first, overthinking as a substitute for living. The intelligent person prepares, plans, researches, refines. They build systems, read books, construct frameworks for understanding what they have not yet done. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the world, wrote this warning to himself. "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength, power over the mind, not mastery of every variable, not certainty before action." The intelligent person confuses preparation with movement. They polish the map endlessly and never take the first step into the territory. The second, using intelligence to avoid vulnerability. Vulnerability is the price of genuine connection, of real love, of work that matters, and intelligent people are often the worst at paying it, not because they don't feel deeply, they feel more deeply than most, but because they can see, in advance, exactly how exposure could hurt them, so they stay one step removed. Ironic, analytical, observational, present in every room, but intimate in none. Seneca wrote, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The intelligent person has an extraordinary imagination for suffering. They have already lived the rejection, the failure, the humiliation in their minds 1,000 times, and so they never risk the one real experience that might have changed everything. The third believing understanding is the same as transformation. This is the most seductive trap of all. The intelligent person reads about the shadow and feels they have integrated it. They study Stoicism and feel they have practiced it. They understand, intellectually, exactly what is holding them back, and use that understanding as a reason to stay exactly where they are. Jung was ruthless about this. He called it intellectualization, a defense mechanism disguised as insight. Knowing your own darkness, he wrote, is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. Knowing, not just understanding. Knowing in the body, in the choices, in the daily reality of your life. There is a vast difference between a person who has read about courage and a person who has been afraid and moved anyway. Seneca wrote to Lucilius late in life, when he had finally understood what he had wasted, "Omnia aliena sunt, tempus tantum nostrum est." Everything is foreign to us. Only time is truly ours. He did not say, think more carefully about how to use your time. He said, reclaim it, now, without waiting for the conditions to improve. The Stoics had a practice they called premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. Not to cultivate fear, to dissolve it. You imagine the worst that could happen. You sit with it. You realize you could survive it. And then, stripped of the illusion that safety is possible, you act. Marcus Aurelius practiced this every morning. He was emperor of Rome, and he still began each day reminding himself that everything could be taken. Not to despair, to free himself from the paralysis of trying to protect what cannot be protected. The intelligent person's greatest fear is not failure, it is irreversible failure, permanent exposure, the kind of mistake you cannot think your way out of. The Stoic answer that mistake has already happened in your imagination 1,000 times, and you are still here. Jung called the journey toward wholeness individuation, not perfection, not optimization, not becoming the best version of yourself. That phrase would have made him laugh. Wholeness, the integration of everything you are, including what you have hidden, buried, and denied. He believed that the second half of life, or the second chapter, however it arrives, must be devoted to this work, or it will be devoted to defending against it. The intelligent person who has not done this work becomes, with age, brittle, rigid, certain, contemptuous of anyone who questions the architecture they have spent a lifetime building, because to question it would mean admitting that the intelligence they trusted was also the thing that kept them small. Jung wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." Privilege, not guarantee, not default outcome. It requires something that intelligence alone cannot provide. Courage, specifically the courage to be wrong about yourself. Here is what this video has been building toward. You already know what you need to do. You have known for longer than you are comfortable admitting. The relationship you need to leave, the work you need to begin, the version of yourself you keep postponing. You have read about it, thought about it, understood it from 17 different angles. And still, you wait. Not because you lack intelligence, because somewhere beneath all that intelligence is a fear so old, so quiet, so perfectly hidden, that your brilliant mind has spent years making sure you never have to look directly at it. Epictetus wrote, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." First say to yourself what you would be, not what you would achieve, not what you would accumulate, not what you would prove, what you would be. That question, honest, undefended, stripped of analysis, is the beginning of the only intelligence that actually matters. The ancient philosophers were not anti-intellectual. Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, these were among the sharpest minds of their age. But they agreed on something the modern world has forgotten. The mind is a tool, not a god. And like any tool, it can build or it can destroy depending on the hands that hold it. Jung spent his life trying to understand why gifted people suffered. His answer was always the same. Not because they were too weak, because they refused to become whole. They chose the comfort of their intelligence over the discomfort of their truth. And the truth, patient, quiet, relentless, waited. It is still waiting. The question is not whether you are smart enough to understand this. You understood it before this video ended. The question is whether you are brave enough to stop understanding and finally begin.